If you're anything like me, you got those monthly child tax credit payments in 2021, and now you're wondering, how in the world do I file this on my taxes? Well, I'm here today to give you some answers. I'll tell you 3 ways to figure out how much money you already got. I'll tell you how much money you should have gotten, and I'll tell you who's going to need to repay those monthly payments. Let's look at those 3 ways that you can figure out how much money you got. The first is the simplest, and that's to look at your bank statement. You're going to want to look at ACH payments that were from IRS Treasury, and it'll have a memo on it that says Child CTC. By looking for that Child CTC, you can figure out which ones are those child tax credit payments as opposed to regular tax refund payments. Keep in mind that if you are married filing jointly, it is possible that the 2 spouses could have had deposits into 2 separate bank accounts. So make sure you're finding all of those deposits. Your second option is to check the IRS Child Tax Credit portal. I have videos about how to get into those. It's not the easiest, but you can do it. There are 2 different ways to get in. You can use an irs.gov account or you can use an id.me account. I'll link at the end to those videos in case you need to get into the portal. But inside the portal, you'll be able to see all the payments and what bank accounts they were sent to. And the third way you can figure out how much you got is to wait for your letter from the IRS. The IRS is going to send letters to everyone who got monthly payments in 2021. It's called the IRS Letter 6419. Now, of course, they're saying they're going to send them to everyone, but we know from past experience that the IRS has had a rough time lately getting everything done. So it might not work out for everyone. They are supposed to be sending those letters out in January 2022. Let me know down in the comments if you got one. I haven't gotten mine yet, but the letter should detail all the payments you got and the total that you should be entering into your tax return. Now, if you're married filing jointly, both spouses will get that letter. The letter should be mailed to the address that was on file with the IRS as of your last tax return that you filed, unless you changed it in one of the portals. So while there are multiple ways you can figure out how much money you got from the IRS, I would suggest waiting for that letter because that is what you're going to use to enter into your tax return, and you do want that number to be right. If you are wrong about the number you enter into your tax return, it is going to delay your tax refund this year. All right, so next up, how much should you have gotten? If you have a child that was under age 6 as of December 31st, 2021, then you should have gotten a total of $1,800 in child tax credit payments. That is half of the total child tax credit. The total child tax credit for children under 6 is $3,600. You got $1,800 in payments and you're supposed to get $1,800 at tax time. If your child is between the ages of 6 but under age 18, you should have gotten a total of $1,500 in payments and you'll get $1,500 on your tax return. Now remember that those payments did go to the person who claimed the child in 2020. They got the payments in 2021, but it's based on who claimed the child in 2020. So this gets a little complicated for people who have parents who are not married and file separately. I know some families like to go back and forth on who claims the child, so it could have gone to the wrong parent in 2021. If you got payments and you were not the parent who is going to claim the child for 2021, it is possible you will have to repay those payments. The other situation that can happen is if your income in 2020 was lower than your income in 2021, and in 2021, your income was too high to qualify for this expanded child tax credit. If that happened, you may also have to repay these payments. All right, so if you are in one of those situations, you may not have to repay them. The expanded child tax credit has what's called a repayment protection program. So lower income families that got payments that they should not have gotten do not have to repay them. So if you are a single filer under $40,000 a year or a joint filer under $60,000 a year, you will not have to repay any payments, even if you got some that you should not have gotten. If your income is between 40 and 80 as a single filer or between 60 and 120 as a joint filer, you may only have to repay a partial amount of that extra payment that you got that you should not have gotten. I do also want to point out for those who may have to repay some of these payments, it is very likely that it's just going to reduce your refund amount. You're very unlikely to have to actually write a check to the IRS because most people do get a tax refund at the end of the year. So if you were supposed to get $2,000, maybe you're only going to get $500. But it doesn't mean you're going to have to write a check to repay the IRS. If you haven't filed your taxes yet, next up, definitely check out my video about the best tax software in 2022. I'll go over which ones have the best features and which ones are the best value for the money.